Austin Dillon wins, and in less controversial fashion than last year, but, well, maybe Alex Bowman didn't see it that way? Let's get into it. Coming up next. What's going on, everybody? Hope you're doing good this Sunday. Austin Dillon goes back-to-back at Richmond. The race he won last year in controversial fashion, this year he wins in dominating fashion, leading 107 laps, something the 3-car hasn't done since 1998. And I bring that up because, as Camaro50 pointed out in the Discord, he likes my position on running the old numbers in the old font. He said it was actually really good to see the old version of the number 3 out there leading laps, winning. It brought back a lot of memories. So once again, that is why I'm on board with, running old numbers with old fonts, because it harkens back to some of those memories of previous drivers. But this race was about Austin Dillon, so let's talk about Austin Dillon here. Because it was win number 6 for Austin Dillon, putting him 78th on the all-time list. He is now tied with Chris Buescher and Ross Chastain, but he just passed a few drivers that are pretty well established, including Ralph Moody, Jeremy Mayfield, Dave Marcus, Tiny Lund, Alan Kulwicki, Dan Gurney, and Ward Burton. And if that list sounds familiar, that's because the other driver he just passed was Shane Van Gisbergen, who last week, of course, joined that list of 5 winners. Austin Dillon now on the list with 6. And he did it in convincing fashion this year. Of course, last year, the late caution from Ricky Stenhouse Jr. This year, of course, redemption for Austin Dillon because he didn't have the controversy. He didn't have to overcome, the late race caution, restart, and stuff like that from Ricky Stenhouse Jr. And I say it's redemption because, well, nobody had ever gotten playoff eligibility taken away from NASCAR for actions on the track. And we've seen other cars and other drivers wreck people and not have, their playoff eligibility taken away. So NASCAR making a rule, whether you agree with what Austin Dillon did or not, NASCAR making a rule in the middle of the season, that just kind of doesn't sit right with me. Never did. I don't mind NASCAR making the rule, which is in place now, but NASCAR sort of adding a new rule in the middle of the season, I didn't like. So that aspect of it I didn't like. But this time, Austin Dillon, of course, it's going to trigger the people that didn't like it last year. So, but he does get, in my opinion, redemption this season. Although it wasn't the Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano wreck controversy, a lot of people are pointing to Alex Bowman saying in his car while the race is going on that, I don't know, Jesse Love was blocking for Austin Dillon or something to that effect, or these guys just don't like me. I think a lot of people are making way too much about that. I think what you saw there with Alex Bowman was just a driver who was in his race car at the end of the race, hot, tired, wore out. That was just frustration coming across. I don't really take those words to heart like a lot of people are taking. And in so much, in the post-race interviews, you saw Alex Bowman say that. So a lot of people are probably going to try to spin that up saying, Alex Bowman was saying there was race manipulation from RCR, but really at the end of the day, I don't think Alex Bowman actually believed that. I think he was more or less just frustrated in that car because now he is in the uncomfortable position of being on the cut line going into Daytona. Speaking of which, let's look at the playoff points. So here we go. Denny Hamlin and Shane Van Gisbergen lead the way with 4 wins apiece. Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell at 3, William Byron at 2. And we'll look at it here in just a minute, but probably just locked up the regular season, so 15 bonus points, most likely headed his way. Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, Chase Briscoe, Bubba Wallace, Joey Logano, Ross Chastain, Austin Cindric, Josh Berry, and now Austin Dillon, all with 1 win. Tyler Reddick looking in good shape here, but still mathematically could get bumped out by Alex Bowman if another winner that hasn't won a race wins this, and Alex Bowman is able to gain those 29 points to Tyler Reddick. So Tyler Reddick, for all the money in the world, was looking safe, but had a bad race here, and we'll get into all that in just a minute. But any of these guys below could race and get their way in, especially given the nature of Daytona and how those races can go, especially with Daytona being a cutoff race. It is probably going to be a wild one. So the points, the cut line, a big story in this race. But let's talk about the race itself. Before the race even started, people were worried about the tire wear, including Brad Keselowski, Kyle Busch, Kyle Larson, so on, so forth. They were concerned that the tire wear was going to be so significant that they would not make it to the end of this race with the number of sets of tires they got. That ended up not being a factor, but the tires themselves actually, in my opinion, ended up being the star, because with this car that has horrible aero, Very difficult to pass on. With the tire fall off, you were able to see cars come and go. Cars were passing. And Richmond itself has multiple grooves, so people could run the extreme top, the middle, or the bottom. So it ended up being a really good race, and Richmond looked like the Richmond of old. The action track is back, of course. So I think overall it was a good race. Speaking of which, let's see what drivers took advantage of this race. Austin Dillon, of course, getting the win. Alex Bowman finishing in second, maximizing points there, which is good. But once again, on that cut line because of the Austin Dillon win. Ryan Blaney ends up in third place. Joey Logano, after starting shotgun on the field and having an interesting day, is able to drive it back up to fourth place. Another Penske teammate, Austin Cindric, there in fifth. And you got to just be thinking what might have been had Joey Logano not had those issues in qualifying, not had those issues in practice, if he had had track position at any point in this race, because the Penske Fords were fast, just the way pit stops cycled and all that. At one point, Ryan Blaney got in front of Austin Dillon. If they had done that at the end of the race, instead of letting Austin Dillon short pit and jump him there, could it have played out differently? All kinds of different scenarios and situations that could have played out. But yeah, great run for Penske there. 3 cars in the top 5. That's hard to beat. 6 through 10 was Kyle Larson. Larson needed a good run here. He had been bleeding points since basically Indianapolis. He's been in a little bit of a slump for Kyle Larson. Daniel Suarez with an interesting evening here, finishing in 7th place. And he was one that caused a bit of controversy as well, as he was just being impatient with the 54 or didn't judge the closing rate of the 54. Whatever happened there, he got into the back of the 54. 54 got into the side of the 45. And that basically ended Tyler Reddick's day. Tyler Reddick, a stage winner, and just ruined the rest of his day. Tyler Reddick was not happy about that. In 8th place here, you've got Josh Berry, Brad Keselowski, good run for him as well, and Denny Hamlin, who once again gave this away on pit road. Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch seem to be like in some type of competition as to who can have the worst pit road performance. Although this particular race, they were topped, which we're going to get to in bad race here in just a second, but let's get the rest of this top 15 here. Zane Smith with a nice 11th place finish. William Byron with that 12th place finish, probably going to lock up the regular season. I think maybe mathematically he can still lose it. Like if he wrecks out and Chase Elliott does super great at Daytona. Chase Briscoe in 13th. Shane Van Gisbergen in 14th. Carson Hocevar 15th. And Kyle Busch in 16th. Kyle Busch, the other controversial incident here where he got into the 19, spun the 19, then hit the 19, then came down, avoiding the rest of that wreck and took out Chase Elliott, which of course is why Chase Elliott had the bad race and couldn't, he's going to probably not have the best opportunity to win that regular season going forward. Speaking of which, let's get to bad race. And you see Bubba Wallace there in 28th, had the wheel issue on pit road where the tire came off. He had to pull into the 19's pit, reattach the wheel. But that pretty much shot his day for the rest of the evening. He won a stage. He won, I think he led like 120-something laps and was looking like he is just a totally different driver here the last 4 or 5 races. He has been on such a heater with a bunch of top 10s, but today just was not his day on pit road. Of course, you see his teammate Tyler Reddick there in 34th. And not pictured, but Christopher Bell also had some issues on pit road with speeding. And actually, all of those issues for Toyota on pit road came on the exact same pit road pit stop sequence. And also the 54 lost brakes during that same pit road sequence. So all of Toyota's good cars, like Christopher Bell looked like he had a car that had potential to win this race. Bubba Wallace in the 45 certainly had potential to win this race. But on one basically series of pit stops, it took all those chances away from any of those cars being able to win. So as much as we can talk about Austin Dillon dominating, Toyota also had some really good cars in this race and kind of gave it away, including the aforementioned Denny Hamlin, who once again, speeding issues on pit road, which is just becoming way too common for him. And also, Kyle Busch speeding on pit road once again as well. Both of those guys, really great veterans, but they have got to clean it up on pit road. Self-inflicted mistakes. But this particular occasion, all of Toyota, for the most part, just did not have a great day, even though they had basically probably race-winning speed on some of those cars for sure. And of course, already mentioned Chase Elliott as one of those drivers who had a bad race. He is now minus 68 behind William Byron. So barring something catastrophic happening to William Byron at Daytona, he is going to be your regular season champion and get those 15 points. Denny Hamlin also within striking distance at minus 73 should something crazy happen to William Byron. But barring that, William Byron probably going to be your regular season champ. The battle between Chase Elliott and Denny Hamlin, though, is only a few points. So, yeah. On we go to Daytona, and it is going to be, I think it's going to be the opposite of Talladega. I don't think it's going to be a follow-me race. I think these guys are going to have to go for it. It's a cutoff race. This is going to be the last opportunity for these guys to get into the playoffs. So I think it's going to be a wild one in Daytona. I don't think Alex Bowman is safe. The way people are going to be driving, I don't even think necessarily that Tyler Reddick is safe. There is a scenario where, you know, Tyler Reddick could get knocked out of this thing, and even William Byron, as big a points lead as he has for that regular season, it's not necessarily a lock. If he gets wrecked, let's say like lap 1 in some type of incident, or he gets wrecked in the first big incident of the race, and then, you know, say Chase Elliott wins 2 stages, gets the win, or Denny Hamlin wins 2 stages and gets the win, like anything, which is very likely. You know, Chase Elliott, not a bad super speedway racer, and Denny Hamlin, definitely a great super speedway racer. So all of those scenarios could happen. You just never know what's going to happen at a super speedway. So yeah, Daytona going to be a big event here coming up. So looking forward to it, and another Saturday night race, if I'm not mistaken. So that'll be cool as well. All right, that's all I got for you on this one. Thanks for hanging out. Until the next one, take them easy. Peace.